Hey students, after looking at your papers, I realized that some of you, not all of you, but some of you are having a hard time avoiding utilizing fragments in your writing. So that leads me to believe that some of you are not quite where you need to be yet with respect to distinguishing a complete sentence from a fragment. Now, a fragment is simply a phrase that is punctuated as if it were a sentence, but it's not a sentence. So if you open up the document entitled Sentences versus Fragments, I want to walk through it with you. So pause the video here. Okay, let's get started. The three components of a sentence. You need a subject, you need a verb, and most people can remember that, but you also need a complete idea. And the concept of a complete idea is the one that trips a lot of people up. But before we get to it, let's review verbs, okay? Because most people know what a subject is. Verbs. There are two types of verbs. There are action verbs. Actually, technically speaking, there are many types of verbs. But for the purposes of good writing and for the purposes of this class, let's just pretend there are only two types, because you only really need to remember two types in order to increase the quality of your writing. Two types. Action verbs. The boy kicked the ball, kicked being the verb. The soprano sang the solo part, sang being the verb, okay? And then there are the descriptive verbs. These verbs are often forms of the verb to be. Is, was, will be, so forth. So she is very intelligent, is being the verb. He was angry about the divorce proceedings, was being the verb. And remember that they're helping you describe something. The woman being intelligent, the man being angry in this case, okay? Now, what the hell is a complete idea? I'm glad you asked. Look at the document. Look at example number 1. When I studied in high school, if I approached a student and I just said, when I studied in high school, and just left it there, if I didn't continue speaking, they'd be like, Dr. Freeman, have you been drinking something, right? It's incomplete information. It doesn't provide the reader with enough information to make sense of the statement, all right? But if I stated, when I studied in high school, I always put pillows on my chair to make myself more comfortable. Now we have a complete sentence, because there we have a complete thought. Notice both in the incomplete version and in the complete version we have a subject and verb. It's just that in one of them it's background information. When I studied in high school, that's background information. What happened when I studied in high school is the issue, right? Still with me? Let's carry on. Look at example number 3. It died. Often when I'm in a physical classroom and I ask students, is the phrase, it died, is that a sentence? They'll say, hell no, that's not a sentence, it's too short. And we don't even know what it is. But it is a sentence, my friend. You don't have to be able to answer every possible question about a sentence for it to be a complete idea. There just has to be something in the subject slot, in this case it, something in the verb slot, in this case died, unfortunately, and it has to be enough information for the reader to make sense of what you're saying, okay? Despite being short, this is a sentence. Even though the reader does not know what it refers to, the reader knows that something died. The reader can make basic sense of what is being stated. Now, if I were to say, since it died, and just left it at that, that would be a fragment, because since it died what? Since it died, comma, we are going to bury it. Since it died, comma, I'm very sad. Since it died, comma, we might eat it. That's kind of weird, I know. But you get the point. Finish the idea with a complete thought. Make sure you have a subject and a verb, and then you'll have a sentence. But if you're missing any of those three magical, mystical components, you do not have a sentence. And I'm telling you this because having a fragment in your paper at the college level is considered a grave infraction. And unfortunately, it costs brilliant, intelligent students like you when it comes to the final grade. So let's avoid that problem, shall we? All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. More videos to come. Cheers.